All right, today we're going to try and solve a real medical puzzle, multiple sclerosis. It's a disease that can cause all sorts of things, from numbness to vision loss, and we're going to figure out exactly how it works. So let's just jump right into the big question, right? How can one single disease show up in so many different ways? I mean, one person might feel some numbness, another might have crippling fatigue, and someone else could temporarily lose their vision. It seems kind of random, but trust me, there's a very clear reason for all of it. So to even begin putting this puzzle together, we have to understand where the problem starts. And the first big piece is realizing that this is an attack that comes from inside the body itself. At its heart, multiple sclerosis is what we call an autoimmune disorder. Now, you know your immune system, right? It's supposed to be your personal bodyguard, fighting off germs and viruses. But in an autoimmune condition, it gets confused. It basically looks at your own healthy cells, thinks they're the enemy, and it attacks. So, in this case of friendly fire, what exactly is the immune system going after in MS? Well, the target it's zeroed in on is something called the myelin sheath. And the myelin sheath is an absolutely crucial part of our nervous system. Think of it like insulation. It's this fatty layer that wraps around our nerve fibers, mostly in the brain and spinal cord, what's called the central nervous system. Its job is to protect that nerve, and just as important, to help messages fly down that nerve at incredible speeds. To really get what's going wrong here, it helps to think of your nervous system like a huge, complicated network of electrical wires. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. On the left, you've got a healthy nerve. See how it looks like a nice, clean, insulated electrical wire? That means the signal traveling down it is super fast and clear. But in MS, that autoimmune attack starts to chew away at the insulation. So on the right, you get what looks like a frayed wire. And what happens with a frayed wire? The signal gets slow, it gets scrambled, or sometimes it just doesn't get through at all. And that idea, that frayed wire concept, is the key. It's how we solve the mystery we started with: why two people with MS can have totally different symptoms. And here it is, the big answer. It's not just that the damage is happening. It is all about where in the brain and spinal cord those wires are getting frayed. The specific location of that damage, we call it a lesion, is what decides the symptom. So think about it like this. If a lesion, a patch of damage, forms in the part of the brain that controls movement, well, you might get weakness or trouble walking. If it happens on a nerve pathway for sensation, you could feel numbness or tingling. Damage the optic nerve, you get vision problems. A lesion in the cerebellum, which handles coordination, could cause tremors. You see? The symptom is a direct clue to the location of the damage. Another really important thing to know is that for most people, these symptoms aren't constant. They often have periods where things get worse, called a relapse or flare-up, and then periods where they get better, which is called remission. It's a pattern of coming and going. Okay, so we've kind of put the main pieces of the puzzle together. Now let's talk about why this knowledge is so incredibly important in the real world, in a high-stakes situation, like for the first responders in emergency medical services. I want you to imagine you're an EMT on an emergency call. The patient tells you they have sudden weakness on one side of their body and their vision is blurry. Your first thought might be stroke, right? But what if that person has MS? Is it a stroke or is it an MS flare-up? The symptoms can look terrifyingly similar, but what you do next could be very, very different. So what are some of the clues that might point to an MS flare? Well, any sudden new neurologic problem, like weakness or vision loss, is a big one. Here's another huge clue: heat sensitivity. A lot of people with MS find their symptoms get way worse when they overheat. And of course, any new falls or sudden trouble getting around is a major red flag. And just to make things even trickier, sometimes the problem isn't even a real flare-up. Something as simple as a urinary tract infection, a UTI, can make neurologic symptoms in a person with MS go haywire, looking exactly like a new attack. So here's the bottom line. For a first responder, knowing that a patient has a history of MS is a vital piece of the puzzle. It helps them figure out what they're looking at. Is this the disease flaring up? Is it a life-threatening stroke? Or could it be an infection that's throwing everything off? Getting that right is absolutely key to getting the patient the right care as fast as possible. When you step back, MS is just this powerful, almost humbling reminder of how delicate and essential our body's internal wiring really is. I mean, the central nervous system controls everything. And it leaves you with this bigger question to chew on. What happens when our body's other critical communication systems, like our hormones or maybe even our genetic code, start to break down?